talks through thy million is Cormack for your little through scrim wat in huun then Jarak het gewoon en de jaken through scrim wat in huun then Jarak het gewoon en de laken good geluk rein en snel geban ik could it ne money och zie me waar ein koud nooit hoor ik jou waknen toen ik me nooit ran ik me en linje geur sound van me les redelijk Schenkene køler ei million gaat je oorlog til ik leum zijn cheer en jas en linje geur gaat je aan uw gulgen til ik is het leppie laar aan mij met haar ze leppie ars graag het me orin en dukem mag jou gaat om af zeg een herstjo min jusen jeer knoglem heen Sheila is min man oh I dogs through ein million stuchak for vrons for at me
Morning time good news MacKenzie version the Phoebe agus go Emily nicht God agus Lucy Livingston schon an drech aldain version a Eilidh og. Fisken ma harsten agus faart of Ulle go fashion and talichen beke. Good evening and welcome back if you're joining us last night or welcome to Seall's Festival of Small Halls 2020. Slightly different format to usual, but we are delighted to be with you. We were in Braes Hall last night. And tonight we are coming to you from Dunvegan the wonderful drawing room of Dunvegan Castle, the seat of Clan MacLeod. And we are delighted to be here. If you were with us last night, you'll know that we had a host of fabulous musicians, and tonight is no different. If you're familiar with the Scottish folk scene, then these folk need no introduction. They are Inge Thomson, Sean Gray, Lauren MacColl, Seall and Hamish Napier. Just a wee bit of housekeeping before we start, housekeeping at home. If you are joining us on the live stream and you're finding that it's buffering, you can just refresh and it should take you straight back to us, providing everything is good on our end. So, Fagamishiv Leisha Seall, we're going to start off with a song, originally a poem by Ayrshire poet Rab Wilson, and it's called Gace, and put to music by Sean Gray. Dosken Korstedis.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
might be iron stay. They'll run out and then they might far go. And seen through the hex it's like some Machu Picchu. And we have plateaus and mines to find the grand. Strange promontories grassed down green. This nature slow heals back what's our end. Mammoth open cast. The spoil heaps open water shall pack things. And one cast beside some giant moody hill. And in Blackwater see the scenes from her skill. Master team left away that local play. The Devon Isle Company. Was a secret way for some. For laughed and after lang as they left. When near they came their friends turned down a glare.
Thank you, and thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I think I can probably speak for everyone when I say that this is truly a special thing to do this evening. To go from doing wee gigs in your living room to this space, it's quite some. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have velvet wallpaper. So yeah, feeling feeling very privileged and lovely to share this night with you. We'll carry on with a wee slow tune now, and this has a little local connection. I bet everyone that's listening, tuning in at home, has a place that they've wanted to be all year, or they've just not quite been able to get to yet. And for some people, it's this place, this beautiful island, Skye. And I was asked to write this tune this year for a few folks that were missing being here. They're usually up here at a fiddle course in the summer. And instead, they spent their pennies that they would have spent commissioning some new music from some musicians across Scotland. So this is their tune, Still Skye.
Well, I come from Strathspey, and I'm very inspired by the landscape of Strathspey. It's famous for its beautiful mountains and beautiful forests, and of course the famous River Spey, where the Strathspey tunes come from, although they do come from all over Scotland, I'd say. But the Spey River is very famous for its whiskey, of course. As you head further down from where I come from in Grattan-on-Spey, as you head down towards the sea, there's lots of lovely whiskey distilleries there. And to transport all of the whiskey to the rest of the world, there was an old railway line that was there for 100 years, and it was taken away in the 1960s. And the railway line was known as the Speyside line, and it used to be directly over the river at some points as well. It was quite a spectacular sight and a really amazing train journey. It's one I wish I was able to take. But there are still remnants of the old railway, although it's all overgrown now by birch and hazel and pine forest. It's all nature's reclaiming it, but you'll still find these lots of relics of this bygone era when you find lots of old railway bridges and stations and things like that, old railway gates, and it's lovely to walk along. So my brother, Finlay Napier, a songwriter, wrote this song for the old Speyside line, and it's about walking along this line and seeing this old empire, or the remnants of this old empire, and the song's called "The World Came In by Rail." For 30 miles it wandered beside the River Spey, in wagons and in carriages, and fish from the North Sea. From Benrinnes to the Cairngorms, way up into Strathspey, in wagons and in carriages, the world came in by rail. We walk along the railway line among birch and wild rose, and all that's left are outposts of an empire no one knows. Well, Beeching called it surgery, but Beeching used an axe, and he chopped the branches from the trunk and made sure that it collapsed. We walk along the railway line among birch and wild rose, and all that's left are outposts of an empire no one knows. And some still dream of days of steam with a childlike thrill, but the past behind us melts away like snow upon the hill. For 30 miles it wandered beside the River Spey, on wagons and in carriages, the world came in by rail.
sin ac Turig Ian Ruig, a lament for Ian Ruig, one of the most beautiful and best known Gaelic songs and airs that we have in the tradition. Agus get va Hamish a thorst imrig a vrahid, agus chomasa hesan Oren skrivig, hij heen gemakkelijk maar schrijver cute. Hamish Napier released his album The Woods in March of this year, right on the cusp of lockdown. And it is inspired by the River Spey, as he says, where he grew up, and by the Gaelic alphabet and its relation to trees. So Hamish's knowledge of Gaelic trees is much better than mine, but I believe that this set represents, keep me right, the Brias Arnic, which is the blackthorn, the Fiarn, which is the alder, and thank you very much, and the Inge, which is the aspen. So, I'm a dosken course today.
for my island of Fair and Fair sits up just in between the islands of Orkney and Shetland, and it sits in a particularly rough stretch of water. So we have these brilliant days after there's been a big raging storm where the beaches all sort of, they don't change shape as such, but all the detritus on the beach changes, and there's like all new treasure really to find and explore. So this is kind of in praise of that. And it's called An Easterly Squall.
Tremble
Harshin Nachroshin Jirach Alin. Hashin Nireva Jirich Hiet Le Ruin Madha Ach and Draste Hashin Dolagal Pick and Fush on Santala Show. We're going to take a short 15-minute break after our final set of the first half. But not to worry, you don't need to move from your seats because in the meantime you will be entertained by our very talented Emily and Lucy. And you'll have a chance also to hear a couple of words from our musicians tonight about their experience of small halls so far, because it's not over yet. So, Fakishin and Drastashiv le da forst Kanyahor. This last set is taken from Lauren's album The Seer and is inspired by the mystical Brahan Seer of Westeros.
viskeren altkorn, garotjit altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer, viskeren altkorn, garotjit altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer, hele de kocheren altkorn, hele de ko jij touwsje, hele de kocheren altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer, viskeren altkorn, garotjit altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer, viskeren altkorn, garotjit altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer, hele de kocheren altkorn, hele de ko jij touwsje, hele de kocheren altkorn, viskeren altkorn, agriet leeg kauwer. Jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn, jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn. Reilig Marie Taler, Jansen Marie Taler, kus nee ja si ching. Marie Taler, Jansen Marie Taler, reilig Marie Taler, kus nee ja si ching. Jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn, jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn. Het van Marie Krupa, gij is kat met loon, jaun seiken zoet toch een olie green. Het van Marie Krupa, gij is kat met loon, jaun seiken zoet toch een olie green. Jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn, jaun seiken namse met lijn, jaun seiken namse landlijn.
I'm really excited about these gigs. It's about 5 musicians coming together and taking each of their personal styles of music, their own approaches, their own material, and sharing it throughout the group. So we're kind of roughly doing 3 or 4 songs each, and we each get to work on it and just to be able to sit for 5 or 6 days and rehearse and work together. It kind of reminds me a little bit of transatlantic sessions back in the day, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful setting to make new music.
I think perhaps, I can't speak for everybody, but when we all arrived here, I think there was a slight sense of kind of, there's a little bit of nervousness around because a lot of us haven't worked on any music projects all year, and there was a different sense of excitement and I suppose, yeah, just a lovely feeling of, my goodness, we're going to come together and actually get to play some music. So it was a really special moment that first day, just all meeting and yeah, reconnecting. Some people I know so well and others not so much. So.
Well, this project comes at a really important time because I feel like we've all of us who are here together now have been very much on our own, you know, making music either in our homes and doing it online, but essentially not in person. So this is very special to be working on music together. And even though the final outcome is going to be online, and live streamed. We are actually working together and working up new repertoire together, so it's really special to have that, you know, the human touch. It's great.
Being part of this Small Halls Festival here in Skye really means a huge amount. After all this time of not really being able to play with anyone, rehearse, that sort of thing, it's just been, you know, a wonderful experience, and I think that the type of music that we're creating is reflected on that.
None of us have actually played anything in front of humans, or maybe some bits and bobs of streaming here and there, but not like full concerts. So it's a little bit terrifying, but also really exciting and really heartening to make a noise with somebody else, you know, sitting next to you making a noise. So.
Some of the songs that have been written by ourselves are traditional songs. One of them is a Scots poem, which has been turned into a song by Sean Gray, the guitarist. Sue is a classical cellist. She's got us playing a little bit of Dvorak, but also a really old Gaelic melody as well. Lauren MacColl's got some beautiful tunes that she's written that we're working on. She comes from the Black Isle, and so there's a lot of history there, and some of these tunes are tied in with that. And then Inge Thomson's from the Fair Isle, and she's got some samples of seabirds and I think her mother, who was spinning the wool, it's a spinning wheel. Some of those samples are going in with it, so it's really bringing her own style and her songs about the Fair Isle. And coming from Strathspey, I've got us doing a Strathspey about the Cairngorm Mountains. So it's just everyone brings their own unique thing to it, something that's very close to them, and we all get the chance to work on it and make them into these arrangements. And sometimes they take half an hour, and sometimes they take 2 hours, and it's just it's a joy to be able to be here in Skye, just sitting all day arranging music.
Being part of this this band, this lineup, has been a wonderful experience. I have worked with Hamish and Seall before in the past, but I haven't had a chance to play with Lauren or Inge before, and it's really great to just explore different techniques and different instrumentation. Inge's got some wonderful sounds that she's creating with a whole variety of things that I would just never think to use.
Whenever you meet a new musician, for a start, it takes a little while to get to know them, just like speaking to somebody just one-to-one that you haven't met before, because you haven't got the measure of them yet. And so there's a little bit of getting to know everybody and getting to know how they approach material and how they play. But it's also really, really exciting because it's all new, and there's the possibilities of all new combinations that you've probably not necessarily tried before. So yes, for me, it's been wonderful.
One of the challenges for us so far has been just the socially distanced rehearsals. Not complaining at all, because it's just great to be in the same room together, but it does make it quite difficult to be further apart, and with the sort of space issues. I'd say that's a bit of a challenge, but just feeling incredibly lucky to be with friends in one space working together.
One of the great things about the week and this time that we have is being able to create new music and write music together that we wouldn't necessarily ever get a chance to do. And I think that's a really unique thing about Small Halls, is being in one place, having this kind of residency feel about the whole thing, and having a kind of concentrated amount of time to work on music that's collaborative. There's no solo project involved, it's just everybody chipping in with ideas, and it makes it all just feel, very much a collaboration, and to be based in this place is hugely inspiring for us all.
Having the opportunity to play an actual gig during this time, I think is really going to be quite memorable, especially after spending this week together, playing music, making music, and just spending all this time with people. And I think it's going to be it'll be an emotional occasion.
I'd say 2020 has been a challenging year for everybody in the creative industries, and it's been hard for audiences as well, because people want to hear the music, people need the arts. You need to have the expression and the performances, and people are desperate to hear music, which is an essential part of our lives, to enjoy live music. So doing this for the small halls is a really important thing. It's something that people really need now. There's no substitute for the real thing, for being in a community, in a small hall event, and enjoying live music and see the musicians performing right there in front of you. There is no substitute for that. But it's wonderful that we can do this week, come together, rehearse, play some of our favourite music, and then we get the chance to share it in these beautiful venues, Braes Hall and Dunvegan Castle, and beautifully filmed, and something that goes out across the rest of the world. It's a different thing. When we performed in the small halls last year, and we were in some of the smaller halls, we got the chance to perform to people of all ages in these places, but we didn't get the chance so much to share it with a big audience. So this is our year. The way I see it is this is our year to spread the message of the small halls on a much more international scale.
I hope that when people tune in at home, they get a sense of what we've experienced this week, which is coming together after a very long time of not being able to play music with others, and also to be part and to be in a special community, but to still be isolating, and to do that safely and working very safely this week. Because it's been special, and I hope that they still get a kind of sense of that small hall, Ceilidh feel to the gig.
All of the kind of soul food that you get from playing with other people, and actually sitting down and realising that you can still do it, and then you get the feeling of credibility when you bring a piece of material to somebody else and they respond really well to it. So it's kind of very hard to quantify. It's not really immediately quantifiable, but I just know that I'm going to go home buzzing because of having this experience.
I think the setting of Dunvegan Castle in particular is going to be really special. It's a beautiful place, and full of history itself, and it will just add to what we've created here.
I'm excited to see what the acoustic's going to be, because you imagine a castle being cavernous and it should be quite resonant, but I have absolutely no idea. I've gone prepared for certain things in different places, but been completely surprised. So I'm really excited to see what that might be.
I've only ever been to Dunvegan Castle once as a child, and to think about playing in such a space like that, it's iconic. And having not done any concerts all year, for this to be the first one, it feels, it's so special. So very much looking forward to being there and hearing what that room sounds like.
Well, obviously nothing can really replace live concerts and being in that space where you're sharing the same air. But I have to say that I think that the recorded online concerts does give an element of a certain amount of intimacy that you don't necessarily get, or at least you get differently in a live concert situation. So I think the sort of the feeling that you can be closer than you would in a live situation when you're being recorded. I think that offers something different, certainly something possibly a bit more intimate. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
I hope they feel like something of the sense of excitement that we feel playing together, and I'm pretty sure they will, because we've certainly all been bouncing off each other really quite naturally, and really with a kind of sense of don't know how to describe it. Certainly excitement, but also that it's an essential thing that we need to be doing, and we've all kind of been it's been a desert for that for the last few months. So I'm really hoping that the audience just feel the excitement that we are feeling when we're playing. So.
Dash a It was lovely to hear from our musicians and how much they've enjoyed spending the last week together over in Slugachan. So, we're going to kick off the second half with a piece inspired by Rachel Carson's Silent Spring, which Inge composed, and she was given the book recently for an environmental project, and although it was written in the 60s, Inge was equally shocked and impressed by what it foretold. We're then going to follow on with a chirpy wee jig that Inge composed for her grandfather called Over the Keels. Alwyn heen. Wel, ha nafies a ha kan geven nog gema imagie Sean fara vilshin. Saun le marin yin Alistair Ruari a va gupper agus a tav ounce and dune shaw heen. This next piece is especially fitting for where we are tonight in Dunvegan Castle, composed by Marin yin Alistair Ruari, one of the best known female Gaelic composers that we have. She worked in Dunvegan Castle for many years as a nurse to several generations of clan chiefs, and she was well known for composing poetry which could prove controversial. It's said that she was buried face down at her own request to stop her from composing any more poetry. Needless to say, her songs have lived on, and I'm very glad that they have. Bí Dinges and bí a hayolach ormse, bí físachge gnuringo se brinir Marin yin Alistair Ruari fatna heiche. Ach, vaak mi se vendraste le faun an áringige mo graagel boch.
Thank you very much. We're going to continue now with another song from Ayrshire, and once again this is started off as a poem by the fantastic
a poet from New Cormack called Rab Wilson. And Rab he's an ex-miner himself, and he's written a lot of poetry about mining in and around Ayrshire. And this one is it's written about the time of the miners' strike, and it tells the story of the women who rose up to support the communities that were suffering as a result of that. And it's called The Fallen Women. One, two, three, four. Fallen women formed the committee. We called ourselves Pomey's Wife Support Group. We ran wee prize bingers, provide that soup. We chaired folksy much had made funds, you see. We formed the committee. The wheel of village life spun round the back. When it came away the heart, that was it. Village life spun round the path. Women were empowered and that's what's new. We stood on platforms, gave speeches and talks, nice that even appeared twice on the box. A confidence to air a pint of you, and that's what's new. The wheel of village life spun round the path. When it came away the heart, and that was it. The wheel of village life spun round the path. Should be the men. I've kept all my books and things for last night when I've appeared with them. No, never like I would do the same hang over again and stone with the men. The wheel of village life spun round the path. When it came away the heart, that was it. The wheel of village life spun round the path. When it came away the heart, that was it. The wheel of village life spun round the path.
Well, a few weeks ago, I had a phone call from a woman called Cherry Jameson, and she asked me if I might be able to compose a tune for her dear friend Irene. So that's what we're going to play just now. And Cherry was in hospital getting 2 hips replaced, and Irene kindly stayed at the house for many days and looked after her, and it was a really lovely thing. So Cherry said she would get a tune commissioned for her. So the two of them love to go on a walk up the Shepherd's Hill, which is a beautiful mountain just overlooking the Cairngorms, and it's said to overlook the hill. The hill is called Mial a Vuachilje, and it just means the Shepherd's Hill. And so just like Irene looked over Cherry, that's basically the same as the Shepherd's Hill looking over the Cairngorms. So this is specially for Irene.
I am utterly delighted to be here, as I'm an honorary folkie, and my roots actually started in classical music. So it's actually just very hard to be in Scotland and not be seduced to the folk side. And I've actually spent all my lockdown time in Strathspey with Hamish, living with Hamish, and quite early on, I was actually asked to film a piece of music of my choice for the Scotsman newspaper online. And just because I've been living in nature, and nature had become so important to me, I actually discovered that there was this story of a woman it was a cellist called Beatrice Harrison, who had made the first ever outside broadcast for the BBC in 1924, nearly 100 years ago. So I just thought it would be quite nice to play outside, and so I took to the woods outside Hamish's home and played a piece that was inspired by playing with the birds, because essentially she wanted to play with the nightingales, and the program she made was so successful that for the next 20 years, every year they repeated that broadcast, and she'd go out every year, and even to the extent that during the Second World War you could hear her playing, you could hear the birds, the nightingale, and you could hear the bombers going overhead, and it was quite stark as an image. So I've decided that it'd be quite nice to do an arrangement. We've done a lovely arrangement of a piece, the very piece that she actually played, and it's by Dvorak, and it's called Songs My Mother Taught Me.
Thank you. We'll give you a set of jigs now, and as well as coming together this week to, I suppose, write new music and to learn each other's music, which is a great thing because we've never all played together till this week. We've also just been loving reconnecting with the things that we love most about music, which is the sharing and the kind of community element of it. And I think that's right at the heart of the small halls. And we feel very privileged to be a part of this week. And one evening after working and being very well fed, it has to be said, we just got the instruments out and had a tune, and it's just the bee's knees to be able to do that again. So thank you so much for giving us that opportunity. So we'll play a few of those tunes, a couple of our favourites, starting off with a great jig from Shetland called Garster's Dream.
Daniel Hain, well, a charstin, chavo na cheshin irtin gjirig na heiche. But before we go, I would like to say a few thanks. And our first and very special thanks goes to Hugh MacLeod of MacLeod here at Dunvegan Castle for allowing us to use such a wonderful space. And it's been wonderful to be here. A special thanks also to Ruari on sound, Danny and Sandy behind the cameras, and to Alistair and Archie, who have been bringing this to you across the world on live stream. A very personal thanks from me to Mary and the team at Seall for inviting me to come along and be a part of this wonderful festival, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of all of us in that respect. Tomorrow night you'll be joined by the formidable Gary Innes from 10 o'clock at Slugachan Hotel for the Big Ceilidh, which features all of our musicians from the last couple of nights. So it's sure to be a great night. And the beauty of live stream is that there are unlimited tickets. There's also a raffle to be drawn tomorrow night, so make sure that you don't miss out on grabbing your tickets for that. The final piece is a tribute to Rick Taylor, who was a very well-known trombone player, and he is well known for his horn parts on pop classics from the likes of Elton John, George Michael, and the Spice Girls, to name but a few. However, Rick Taylor made his home in the Isle of Skye, and as Seall said, it's difficult not to get sucked into the Scottish traditional music scene whilst here, and that's just what he did. He taught us so much about ensemble playing, and we will forever be indebted to him. So this is Skye in my heart. Ach bhuamsa, mór tang agus eichvalif.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I live here on this island of dreams now, where Skye.